Reddit woman, have you ever been on a date with a grown man who wanted to trick you and cheat on you? He told me he was single. Until his wife called me from the bathroom. It was supposed to be a casual Tuesday night date. We'd met on Hinge. He was a clean-cut engineer, 37, divorced, so he claimed no kids, liked hiking and deep conversation. Our chats were witty, flirty, and effortless. After a week, he asked me to dinner. He even picked a cute little Italian place, a romantic, but not over the top. It felt like someone who had his act together. He showed up exactly on time. Smelled amazing. Paid compliments without being weird. I thought, wow, is this what dating an actual grown man feels like? We ordered wine and pasta, and the conversation was easy. He didn't even check his phone once. Gentleman vibes all around. Until he went to the bathroom. His phone, which he'd left face up on the table, started ringing. And vibrating. Nonstop. The name on the screen? Wife House. I stared at it, convinced it was a joke. Some people joke like that, right? Maybe an ex-wife he has a weirdly close co-parenting relationship with, but then it rang again. And again. Then came a flood of texts. Where are you? You said you'd be home by 7. Did you seriously forget your son's school project? If I find out you're with someone, I swear to God. That's when I heard the flush. I acted fast. Answered the phone. Put it on speaker. Hello, I said calmly. There was a pause, then, who is this? I'm on a date with your husband, apparently. He's in the bathroom. Cue door creak. He walked out, smiling. Then froze. Jason, I said sweetly, your wife wants to speak to you. He lunged for the phone. I slid it out of reach. You might want to explain why you told me you were divorced, I added. The voice on the other end went from shocked silence to absolute rage. You're on a date right now? While I'm home with your sick kid. Jason turned 10 shades of pale. It's not what you think, he stammered. Oh, really? I said, holding up his phone. Because it seems exactly what I think. Other diners were now watching. The server, holding a tray of cannoli, just slowly backed away. I calmly gathered my things. Looked Jason in the eye. You're not divorced. You're not even separated. You're just a coward who thinks he can lie to 2 women at once. His wife was still screaming when I hung up and walked out. Outside, I sat in my car, shaking not because I was upset, but because I felt so damn lucky I found out early. And the kicker? Later that night, he texted me from a different number. I think we really had a connection. Can we talk? I blocked him so fast I nearly sprained my thumb. Some men aren't grown. They're just boys in button-ups. He wanted to split the bill after I paid for his wife's wine too. It started off as a perfectly normal first date. We met on Bumble. He was a clean-shaven corporate guy, said he worked in finance, liked documentaries and red wine. He messaged first, used full sentences, didn't immediately ask for bikini pics, already above average in my book. We agreed to meet at this trendy wine bar downtown. He picked the place, made the reservation, and texted me 30 minutes before to say he was so excited to finally meet. I got there on time. He was already seated with 2 glasses of wine on the table. Red or white, he asked, holding up mine like a gentleman. I thanked him and sat down, flattered. He was charming. A little smug, but not unbearable. We ordered appetizers, shared a cheese board, and were deep into a conversation about childhood pets when he glanced at his phone and stiffened. Hey, just so you're not surprised, he said, my friend might swing by for a minute. I blinked. On our date? Yeah, but just for a sec. She's cool. You'll love her. Before I could ask what the hell he meant by she, a woman walked in tall, gorgeous, confident, and came right up to our table like she'd done it 100 times. Hey babe, she said. Babe. She kissed him on the cheek. I froze. He had the audacity to smile and say, oh, this is my friend, Tasha. Tasha? This is, Mel. I didn't even correct him on my name. I just stared. Tasha sat down. And the weirdest part? She looked completely unbothered, almost like she didn't know why she was even there. She ordered a glass of wine, chatted like this was a double date, and then excused herself to the bathroom. That's when the guy leaned in and said, "Hey, listen, would you mind splitting the bill? Money's tight this week." I just blinked at him. "You mean the bill for the wine you ordered for yourself and your wife?" "She's not my wife," he said quickly. "It's complicated." "She just called you babe." He shrugged. "We're in a transitional phase." I stood up. "Yeah? Well, here's your transition." I walked right up to the bar and flagged the bartender. "Hi," I said loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. "Can you please split the bill? I'll pay for my wine. Not for this guy's romantic entanglements." The bartender raised an eyebrow, but did exactly that. I paid, left a tip, and turned around just in time to see Tasha coming out of the bathroom. "Hey, Tasha," I called out. "You and your not husband enjoy your night. He says you're in a transitional phase. You might want to clarify what that means." Her eyes went wide. His face went red. "And me?" I walked out with my head high, my wallet intact, and a story that had my group chat screaming. He scheduled 3 first dates at the same cafe, including mine. He seemed normal at first. We met on a dating app. His profile said he was into photography, owned a dog, and made a killer shakshuka. His messages were funny and confident, borderline cocky, but not aggressively so. We agreed to meet for a mid-morning coffee on a Sunday. Casual, low pressure. The cafe he chose was popular, but not crazy busy. I got there a little early and grabbed a seat near the window. He walked in 3 minutes later. Tall, clean-cut, wearing a denim jacket, and that looked like he knew he'd been told he was hot one too many times. We hugged. Small talk flowed. He ordered us both drinks and a pastry to split. At this point, I was honestly kind of impressed. Until it happened. About 25 minutes into our date, a woman approached the table. She was clearly dressed up for a date, cute outfit, light makeup, that nervous but excited energy. She looked between the two of us and asked, "Jason?" He blinked. "Oh, hey." She turned to me. "Are you his sister?" I let out a dry laugh. "Nope. I'm his 10:30. Her eyes narrowed. "I'm the 11 o'clock. Jason turned beet red. "Okay, listen, this is not." Another woman walked in. This one looked just as confused. She locked eyes with Jason and said, "Seriously?" I looked at him and said, "Let me guess. The 11:30. He stood up, holding his hands out like some kind of rom-com villain trying to control the damage. I just didn't want to waste a whole day on maybe matches. I figured I'd just schedule back-to-back coffees. Keep it efficient. "Efficient?" the first woman repeated, her voice rising. "You set up 3 dates at the same cafe? What if we overlapped?" "I was betting on late arrivals," he muttered. We all just stood there, staring at him. And then, I don't know what possessed me, I invited the other 2 women to sit down. "We're already here," I said. "Might as well have some fun." Jason tried to protest, but all 3 of us ignored him. He slinked away, muttering something about overreactions. The 3 of us sat there for nearly an hour, sipping lattes and comparing screenshots. He'd sent us all nearly identical messages. Same jokes. Same compliments. Even recycled emojis. Turns out, he lied about owning a dog. He'd just borrowed one for photos. One of the girls was actually amazing, and we've stayed in touch since. The other? Ended up dating my cousin. So, thanks for the networking, Jason. The kicker? A week later, Jason sent me a message. "Hey, sorry things got weird. You were actually my favorite. Wanna try again?" I replied, "Sorry, I'm booked with your 12 o'clock next week." Then I blocked him. Because if you want to run your dating life like a timeshare presentation, you better expect a Yelp review. He claimed he was a doctor, so why was he washing cars on a Wednesday? We matched on Hinge. His profile said he was a trauma surgeon, which, okay, bold flex. His photos showed him in scrubs, a hospital ID lanyard barely visible, and one of those classic mirror selfies that said, "Yes, I'm attractive and save lives. Worship me. I'm not shallow, but I am a little curious. So we started chatting. He was charming. Knew all the right things to say. Claimed he worked long hours, mostly nights, and rarely had time for dates, which explained the delayed replies and weird schedule. Still, he made an effort to meet. Said he was excited to finally make room for something real. I was flattered. Flustered, even. We set a date. A Tuesday evening dinner. He picked a spot near a hospital, said he could sneak away between shifts. Showed up in scrubs, stethoscope peeking from his pocket. We ate. He was attentive, smooth, mysterious. Talked about patients in vague but emotional terms. But something felt off. His medical lingo was inconsistent. He said he worked ER trauma rotation, but called a CAT scan a brain check machine. He also said he was on call, yet chugged 2 margaritas without hesitation. My best friend's a nurse. I took mental notes. When I got home, I did some digging. There was no trauma surgeon at the hospital with his name. No license under it either. His LinkedIn? Blank. His Instagram? Private. The lanyard from his mirror selfie? I zoomed in. It said, hospital volunteer. I wasn't furious yet. I just wanted to know. So the next day, I drove back to that hospital and asked casually at the info desk if he worked there. They checked. Nope. Not staff. Not even on their volunteer list anymore. As I walked back to my car, I passed a hand car wash near the side of the hospital. Guess who was there, in basketball shorts and a tank top, spraying down a BMW with a soapy hose? Dr. Trauma Surgeon himself. I didn't confront him. Yet. Instead, I waited a few days and invited him to lunch. He agreed, saying he'd just gotten off a 30-hour shift. We met at a busy cafe. I brought my nurse friend. She grilled him, gently but persistently. What unit do you work in again? What EMR system do you guys use? Did you say your residency was at UCLA or UCSF? You said both. He started sweating before the appetizers arrived. Finally, I said, so how much do you make washing BMWs? His face dropped. He tried to deny it. Said I was stalking him. My friend pulled out a laminated badge and said, I actually work in trauma care. And I've never seen you in any scrub that wasn't Halloween grade. I paid for my iced tea and walked out. He texted me later. You didn't have to embarrass me. But here's the thing. If you pretend to save lives just to get laid, you deserve to be exposed in broad daylight with soap suds at your feet. He said I was paranoid. Then I found my own profile on a sugar baby site. We met at a mutual friend's housewarming party. He was witty, dressed well, and claimed to be an entrepreneur in tech, which I've since learned is code for I make PowerPoints and call myself a CEO. We dated for a couple of months. Casual, but exclusive, or so I thought. He was big on privacy. I'm low-key, he said. I keep my life offline. No social media. No photos together. He'd even dodge group pics at events. At first, I respected it. Not everyone wants to be a digital billboard. But then weird things started happening. A friend sent me a screenshot one day and asked, is this you? It was a sugar baby profile. My name wasn't on it, but it had my face, pictures I had posted on my private Instagram. Ones I'd taken in my apartment. At first, I thought it was just some creep who stole my photos. I reported it, but curiosity got the better of me. I made a burner account, messaged the profile as a potential sugar daddy, and asked a few questions. The person responded quickly. She's sweet, classy, discreet. Loves wine nights and surprise gifts. Then he added, she doesn't know she's listed yet, so let's keep this between us for now. My blood ran cold. He was pimping out me, without my consent, using stolen photos, offering fake services, using his payment info. I kept digging. He'd linked a Cash App and Amazon wishlist, both under generic usernames, but I cross-checked a recent gift I got from him, and it matched the exact shipping ID on that wishlist. I confronted him the next day. I didn't ease in. I showed him the profile. He froze, then smiled. "You're overreacting," he said. "It's just marketing. No one ever meets anyone." "Marketing?" I repeated. "I was testing an idea. Digital girlfriend services. I used your pics because, well, you're hot." "It worked, didn't it?" I stared at him. "You monetized me like I'm a subscription service?" He shrugged. "You should be flattered." I don't remember exactly what I said next, but I know I left, blocked him on everything, and filed a police report. The website took the profile down, but not before I documented every message, every transaction, every account he tied to it. I also emailed his latest startup partners with links to the Sugar Baby profile and his burner Cash app. It's amazing how fast people lose interest in your crypto pitch once they find out you're virtually trafficking your girlfriend. He tried to spin it. Told mutual friends I overreacted and couldn't take a joke. But I've told the full story to every single one of them. Now, he's disappeared off socials, lost a few business partnerships, and according to LinkedIn, he's between ventures. Meanwhile, I've upgraded to a man who doesn't need to borrow my identity to feel powerful. And best believe, he proudly takes pictures with me. He tried to gaslight me into a threesome with a woman who didn't know about me either. I should have known something was off when he asked if I was open-minded during our second date. I'd met him on Tinder. He was in his mid-30s, charming in a used car salesman kind of way, but I was coming off a dry spell and ignored a few gut feelings. He talked fast, complimented me constantly, and told me I was exactly his type. Things moved fast. Within 2 weeks, he was spending nights at my place, calling me his girl and texting me nonstop. I felt flattered until the love bombing turned to suggestion bombing. It started subtle. "You ever been curious about another girl? What if you could pick the girl, no pressure?" My last relationship was more adventurous. I made it clear, not interested. I'm not against threesomes in theory, but I could tell this wasn't about exploring fantasies. It was about control. He kept pushing. Showed me photos of girls he claimed were friends who'd be down. I told him it wasn't happening, and he dropped it. Or so I thought. Then came her. He said her name was Claire. He wanted to introduce us, just as friends, he said, since we all had similar vibes. Against my better judgment, I agreed to a casual group hang at a bar. Claire was lovely. Too lovely. Funny, kind, sweet, she seemed as confused as I was. And when he went to the bathroom, she turned to me and said, "So, how long have you been dating him?" That's when everything clicked. We compared notes. Same, you're the only one, same routines, same lines. Turns out, he'd been sleeping with both of us and trying to orchestrate a natural threesome by introducing us under the guise of friendship, hoping we'd hit it off and magically end up in his bed together. I was furious. She was heartbroken. But we didn't scream. We didn't cry. We ordered another round and smiled when he returned. "Everything okay?" he asked. Claire and I exchanged a look. "Actually," I said sweetly, "we've been talking." "And we think you're right," Claire added, leaning in. "We do have great chemistry." His eyes lit up. "Oh yeah?" he asked, way too excited. I nodded. "Yeah. We've decided we want to explore. Just the two of us." He blinked. Claire smiled. "You're kinda just in the way." He laughed awkwardly. "Wait, seriously?" I leaned closer. "Seriously, leave." We both turned away from him like synchronized swimmers. He stood there for a second, dumbfounded, before realizing we weren't bluffing. He paid for the drinks and left. Claire and I didn't actually hook up, but we did become friends. We even hosted a joint we're not his type party and invited other women we later found out he'd tried the same thing with. He doesn't date in this city anymore. Because every time he shows his face, someone's waiting to tell the next woman exactly what he's about. He made a bet he could sleep with me in a week, so I made him famous instead. We met through mutual friends at a rooftop bar. He was handsome in that cocky, frat boy turned startup guy way. White button down, Rolex he had to keep adjusting, teeth too white to be humble. He bought me a drink and said, "You look like trouble." I should have walked away right then. But I was bored, and he was persistent in that charming but borderline annoying way. We exchanged numbers, and he texted within the hour. Quick with compliments, faster with plans. He was coming on strong, but I figured maybe he was just straightforward. Spoiler: he wasn't. Our first date was 2 days later. Trendy tapas spot. He ordered for both of us without asking, which I usually hate, but the food was good, and he kept me laughing. He asked personal questions and acted so interested in my answers. It almost felt too good to be true. Because it was. After the second date, things got weird. He started pressuring me to spend the night. When I said no, he laughed it off but followed up with, "Come on, don't make me lose this bet." I blinked. What bet? His smile vanished. And that's when my gut dropped. He backpedaled hard. "I was just joking," he said. Bad sense of humor. But it was too specific. I knew something was up. So I went digging. One of our mutual friends, a girl I'd barely met, posted a story the next day with a screenshot of a group chat titled Smash List 2023. The chat had 6 guys in it. Guess whose name was right next to mine? That's right. Mr. Rolex himself. His exact message: "Met this girl named my name. Smart, hot, stubborn. Bet I'll have her by next Friday." It had emojis. Bet amounts. One guy even replied, "Only if you lie through your teeth." I messaged the girl and asked if I could repost it. She gave me the green light. So I did. I posted the screenshot, his name, and a summary of what happened on Instagram and TikTok with the caption: "Imagine thinking women are trophies and finding out we're the whole game." It blew up. Thousands of likes. DMs from other women saying he'd pulled similar stunts. A girl he ghosted 3 weeks earlier even sent me a voice memo. "Thank you." I knew he was scum. And the best part? He called me furious. Said I ruined his reputation. That I was vindictive. I said, "You didn't lose a bet. You lost your mask." Then I hung up. His job? Tech startup founder. His board saw the post. The company quietly removed him from their website a week later. Now, when you Google him, my post is the first thing that shows up. He wanted to win a game. I just changed the rules. He said he was building a future with me, but his baby registry said otherwise. We'd been dating for almost 5 months. He was thoughtful, attentive, and just the right amount of clingy. He'd text me good morning every day, call every night, and constantly talked about our future. He mentioned wanting to move in together, even said things like, "when we have kids someday." It felt like something real, something rare. He claimed he was a software engineer, often busy with late meetings and weekend sprints. I respected the hustle. He always seemed to be juggling something, and I chalked it up to ambition. One night, we were lying in bed, and he looked me dead in the eyes and said, "I've never felt this safe with someone. Like I could actually settle down." Reader, I swooned. The cracks started 2 weeks later. I was on Facebook Marketplace looking for a used bookshelf. I found one that looked perfect, checked the seller's name, and paused. Same first name. Same last initial. And the profile picture? Looked a lot like him, only in the photo, he was at a gender reveal party. I clicked. Public profile. Minimal content. But one post was visible. 1 month to go. Can't wait to meet our baby girl. Registry link below red heart. My blood went cold. Registry link? You bet I clicked it. There it was, a full baby registry. Onesies, bottles, monitors. All listed by someone with the exact same name as him and a co-registrant named Rachel. The due date? Less than 4 weeks away. I stared at the screen like it might change. Then I started putting things together. Those late-night meetings? Baby prep. That family emergency 2 months ago? Probably the baby shower. The sudden weekend trips? Birthing classes, maybe. I wasn't just the side chick. I was the future he practiced in the mirror before going home to the woman actually carrying his child. I didn't cry. I screenshotted everything. Then I texted him. Hey babe, just thinking about our future again. Mind if I send over a registry of my own? He replied instantly. Haha, what? You're so cute. Send it. So I did. The exact link from Facebook. No caption. It took him 3 minutes to call me. I answered. Hey, dad-to-be. Anything you want to share? Silence. Then, the dumbest thing he could have said. It's not what it looks like. I laughed. So, it's not a crib and a baby monitor you picked out with your wife? Click. I never heard from him again. But I did message Rachel through the registry and told her everything. I sent screenshots, texts, timestamps. She thanked me. Said I wasn't the first. Apparently, their marriage had been rocky for a while. She had suspected cheating but never had proof until me. He wanted 2 lives. Now he's got 1, single, with diapers. And me? I bought the bookshelf and left a review that read, "Great storage for secrets. Doesn't hold up under truth." He pretended to be a therapist until he left his case notes at my place. I met him at a bookshop. No apps, no swipes. He was browsing the psychology section, holding the body keeps the score. I made a joke about how every guy with a beard and commitment issues had that book in their apartment. He laughed and said, I actually am a therapist. We hit it off instantly. He was smart, asked thoughtful questions, and listened. Like, really listened. I told him about my last breakup, and he offered gentle insights, not advice. He had that calm, velvety voice and wore thick-rimmed glasses like he walked out of a mindfulness TED Talk. We went for coffee that day, then dinner, then dates every week. He told me he was a licensed mental health counselor, had his own small practice, worked mostly with trauma patients and young adults. He made jokes about HIPAA and used clinical language so naturally it was hard to doubt him. He'd say things like, "That's a classic case of dissociative coping. I had a patient today who reminded me of something you said. At first, I felt special. Then I felt weird." One night, he left in a rush after spending the weekend. Said he had a client emergency. He forgot his notebook. I wasn't trying to snoop. But when I moved it off the couch, a piece of paper fell out. It was titled, Client, Mariah, 29, Anxiety, Poor Boundaries, Avoidant Attachment. My name is Mariah. He'd written case notes about me. At first, I panicked. I flipped through the notebook and realized every client was a woman he'd dated. First names, age guesses, clinical assessments of their personalities. Some were labeled short-term, no romantic potential. One said, good for sex, low emotional resilience. I was sick. There was even a page with a little flowchart labeled Trust Strategies. It mapped out different tactics to build perceived intimacy through mirroring language and vulnerability cues. This man wasn't a therapist. He was a manipulator with a notebook. I waited until the next day. Invited him over. Said I wanted to talk. He showed up with takeout and a casual smile. I handed him the notebook. Watched his face collapse. Want to tell me why I'm a mild case of anxious avoidant with codependency tendencies in your twisted fake DSM? He tried to say it was a creative exercise. Creative? I asked. Do you charge clients for your poetry, too? He sputtered. I didn't yell. I just told him to leave, and that I'd be reporting him to the state board. There was no record of him as a licensed counselor anywhere. I posted screenshots of the notebook on a private subreddit for local women. Turns out, I wasn't the only client. At least 4 other women came forward. One had even confided in him about a real trauma, thinking she was speaking to a professional. He's off social media now. And me? I see a real therapist. She says I'm healing, but I still keep a copy of that notebook page. Because next time someone claims to be a good listener, I'm asking for credentials. He said he was in an open marriage until his wife FaceTimed mid-date. I met him at a local art crawl. He complimented my earrings, then spent 20 minutes talking about abstract expressionism like it was a religion. He had a wedding ring, so I was polite but distant. That's when he said, "Oh, I'm married, but it's an open relationship. Fully consensual, ethical, all that jazz." I raised an eyebrow. "Your wife's cool with you hitting on women at art shows?" He laughed and said, "She's the one who suggested I put myself out there." I've always been a little skeptical of the open marriage line, but he seemed so genuine. He even pulled up a screenshot of a message thread where Lena Rehart said, "Have fun tonight, babe." Just be honest. Against my better judgment, I gave him my number. We went out 2 days later. Coffee, then dinner. He was interesting, respectful, didn't push boundaries. Talked about how modern relationships required emotional maturity, and I actually started to believe him. By the 3rd date, I was into it. And honestly, a little excited by the novelty. That's when the cracks started. He never talked about his wife beyond vague affirmations like, "We're best friends," or "She's super chill." When I asked how long they'd been open, he said, "It's complicated," and changed the subject. Then, on our 5th date, during brunch, his phone started buzzing. FaceTime. Incoming call. Lena Honeybee. He went pale. "Wanna grab the check real quick," he said, standing up so fast he knocked over his water. "I need to take this." I stayed seated. His phone was still buzzing in his hand. I said, "Is that the Lena?" He hesitated. Yeah, just regular check-in." I said, "Put her on. I want to say hi." He looked like I slapped him. Before he could stop it, the call went through. A woman in a robe appeared on screen, holding a toddler. She looked exhausted and furious. "Who the hell are you?" she demanded. He tried to hang up. Too late. I leaned into frame and said, "Hi. I'm the girl your husband's dating. He said you were cool with it." She blinked. "We are not in an open marriage." Then she looked at him and screamed, "Are you cheating again?" He stammered. I grabbed my purse. Before I left, I turned to her and said, "I'm so sorry. I didn't know." He lied to both of us. She nodded. "Thank you." Later that night, she messaged me on Instagram. She found me through mutual friends. She apologized for the scene and thanked me for the honesty. Apparently, he had a history. Open marriage was his go-to line. He'd even used the same fake text screenshots on other women. She told me she kicked him out. Filed for separation the next day. Now she's in a support group, and I've made it my life mission to warn women about men who weaponize progressive relationships as a cover for cowardice. He thought he was being clever. Turns out, honesty isn't optional when your lies dial home. Write in the comments about your life cases when a man turned out to be a common thief and imposter.